just to demonstrate, like we just did on dumbbells, showing like opening up the rib cage and creating this projection, for lack of a better word. I don't know what else to say. But so it's the same when you set up on a barbell or on a Smith, whatever it is, right? So it's like I'm gonna obviously, how we told people to set up before, it's like I'm setting myself down and back and tucking my chin in and pushing up on the bar to take it off. So my rib cage is up as high as it can be and I'm as expanded as I can be. So I feel like in my mind, my rib cage is like 3 times bigger than it actually is. So I'm not gonna fall into my rib cage and fall on this direct line and push up. I'm gonna open up as if my rib cage is 3 times wider and then drive off that. So I'm opening, dropping, lifting my chest, driving up through. So this expansion and this deep lift up through is like my chest is meeting the bar as it comes towards me, right? So if I'm locked out here and I'm letting that hand drop and that elbow sink, I'm lifting my chest and expanding and driving off. So I'm creating tension on my pec right away. So it's basically like a motivated, like a, how do you say that? What the fuck am I trying to say? It's basically like a modified, like powerlifting bench. Yeah. So a powerlifter's bench will be like, obviously it wouldn't be inclined. Let's just say this is flat. They'd be way out here and they'd be way up above the bar and they tuck in here and they drive off. So it's a lot, they're trying to create less distance by having a wider base. So there's less distance to travel and it's just drive off. Whereas I'm taking a narrow base so I get more depth in my elbow and pull down into the armpit so that when I drop, my chest lifts up higher and I get more pull down into my pec. So when I drive off, I'm through pec. As opposed to being out wide here and just trying to get there as slow as I can and as smooth and then drive off, right? So we've just modified, which is probably the best bench pressing technique in the world, powerlifting, because they're moving massive loads and they're trying to do it in the shortest distance. So they're trying to get that sternum up so high that when that arm cracks, it only has to move like maybe 8 inches, 6 inches and drive off, right? So, but I want to get more drop. I want to get that same shortening of the distance to allow my chest to be higher, to let my elbow drop deeper, to get more pull on the pec, so I can drive off more through the whole pec, right? I don't want to be out wide and only catch outer and really trap on tricep and things like that. So from people that know what they're doing and implementing it to your training and understanding like, okay, well, those guys are really good at that, or like someone you look who sees like a really heavy squatter, you see how they set up, you see how they brace, you see where they lock down on things. And yeah, like a competitive powerlifting squat, not a lot of guys are going to the pit, but some guys are. But like they know how to set themselves to like engage and then move up through something, right? But it's like you don't understand how many things have been locked down on. Like my traps are engaged, my lower lats locked, my elbows are rolled forward, my lats are tucked in. So all these locks have happened, like you've locked into your position, and now it's just moving on a line, right? So that's what we're doing here, where we're just allowing more motion, right? So when I'm locked into my press, whether it's dumbbell or barbell, I'm still locked into my lower back is arched in a tight arch, my lats are squeezed under, my shoulder blades are pinched, my head's pushed back to keep my chest up from myself falling forward. So all these things are locked in place and it looks like I'm just going like this. But I've locked down 3 or 4 or 5 different things and planted my feet in the ground so that I know as soon as I take that bar off, the amount of energy needed to move it is very little, because I've locked down everywhere, right? So I can just, and that's why people say you're not isolating on your chest, you're not doing, it's like, no, I have isolated by in the essence of locking down everything else. So everything else is super locked down to where it needs to be, and the chest is able to move freely because everything else is so locked down, right? So people they make this association that if they over tense things, you're not gonna isolate things, or if you go super slow on things, you can isolate more. It's like, no, if I'm locked down to my bench and I know where I'm set and it's a heavy weight, I'm boom, boom, I move. I know it's all chest, right? So it's just changing the way people think about the setup for exercises and really emphasizing that you guys and girls need to like understand like rib cage expansion. Like if you literally can't do this, you're gonna be an awful poser. That's just basically what it comes down to. It's like, yeah, people don't stand there and practice doing this, but like you'll notice guys who have good front doubles and good front lat spreads and things like that, they're up high on shots. So they almost erupt upward and set their shot. So like this, like their chest is so high and their sternum so high that I can't see my own legs. So I'm looking out and all I can see is chest and my body, and I know everything else is tight because I've set whatever I've set down and come up through, right? But some of these guys, they hit shots and they're flat, and they can see, they can look down and see their own. I can see my whole abdomen and my legs because I want to have this flat stomach. But you want to create dimension from the side, because if I'm pulled back here and my chest is way out, this from the front looks like I have taper, because my hips are set back behind my chest is set back behind, set in front of my hip. Whereas if they're in line, I look flat. So this is creating dimension to someone looking dead on. It looks like your hips, your tapers even more because your hips are so far back. But it could be 3 inches, and people don't know that, right? So they don't see like, oh, I set my hip here and I set, and then I come up through my legs. And my legs are still set back where they were, and I'm out in front of them. So to everyone, it's like this effortless thing. Like, you'll see guys who hit shots and they look lazy as fuck because they're just literally like, they put their arms up and they're like, because they don't understand that like a good pose at first is going to be really uncomfortable. Like, it's going to be very uncomfortable to like get used to holding this sternum up is exhausting, right? But once you understand that all of it's set off here, then you don't have to squeeze the arm, you don't have to flex the abs, you don't have to do this, because if my torso is elongated, my stomach can't blow out. I can't be on stage blowing out because I'm up too tall. So I might get extension a little bit here, but I'm able to hold my ab wall back no matter how big my abdomen is, right? And that's what you're seeing with guys, bigger guys now, who are able to control their ab wall. Is one, they're training their ab wall, they're training themselves to control better, but they're also understanding that they set their shot and they come up through their shot. So you'll feel this pulling on your abdomen here, like it's pulling up into you because you're not used to that. But you'll get that natural feeling of holding up through shots, right? So just wanted to say that. 10-minute rant.